Hi there, and welcome to the latest episode of Poodling Around. Now, if you just love steam trains or your kids are obsessed with Thomas the Tank Engine, you probably need to have a good old listen to this chat that I had with Rachel Bell, Head of Marketing and Business Development at the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway. So my first question for Rachel was, of course, what is the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway?
Yeah, so Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway, it is a narrow gauge steam railway that operates on the Western Lake District coast from main station at Ravenglass to Delgarth Boot Station. Very sort of like a little local treasure, really, known locally as Larati, which means little away. And it's been operating here. Well, it's originally built back in 1873, but obviously today it's mainly carrying sort of like passengers who enjoy sort of like 7 mile long journey up from the coast up into the mountains.
And in which part of Cumbria then do we find the railway, and between
Yeah,
which places does it run?
yeah, it's Western Lake District. So it literally is 2 minutes walk from Ravenglass train station, which is on the Cumbria main line, the Cumbria Coast line, which connects to the West Coast main line, and it travels literally from there up into Eskdale, where it sort of like is within sight of England's tallest, highest mountain, Scafell Range, and its terminus station at the moment is Delgarth Boot. But we have sort of like 3 or 4 key main intermediate stations as well en route, because it is a 7 mile journey.
Yeah, and it seems quite a remote and unusual place to have a railway. So what's a reason for it being created in this location?
Yeah, I mean, most heritage railways, well, actually, they weren't built for commercial type traffic. They were built for obviously industry, really. So when I say commercial, I mean passenger traffic. I mean, obviously, this railway was built originally in 1873, but it didn't commercially open until May 1875. Its main purpose, though, was to transport, obviously, iron ore, much mined in the hills above the village of Boot, and then obviously transport down to Ravenglass, and then obviously onto boats, because Ravenglass is once a quite important strategic harbour here on the west coast. Here as well, you've got the main. At the time, it was the Furness Railway, so and that would be obviously the main line where the iron ore was transferred down to kind of Barrow and onwards from there.
So if a family comes along and hops on board the railway, what sort of carriage are they sitting in, and what do they see as they go along?
Yeah, so basically we've got different carriages available. We're one of the only narrow gauge railways to have sort of like our fully open carriages. So we have fully open carriages, semi-open carriages, and closed carriages. We also have some new carriages that we've got, which are our first class carriage. We have our roof director saloon experience carriage, and we have our Pullman observation carriage Joan as well. So I mean, the scenery is beautiful. I mean, you literally are traveling from the coast along the estuaries, so the kind of landscape changes as you're going along. You then sort of like go into the glades of the woods, and then as you're coming sort of like out of the woods, and then the landscape gets a bit more craggy as you're coming up into sort of like the higher areas of the valley, and into obviously your terminus station at Boot, which had been originally obviously our station Delgarth is just short of Boot, so there would have been an incline railway which goes back to that mining heritage from the actual sort of like Boot village itself. So we're about 5 minutes walk from there, obviously at the end. So, but the scenery is very, very dramatic and very peaceful, just listening to the train chuffing along.
And how long does it take to travel each way? It's 7 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 7 miles, so it's about 40 minutes each way.
So it's a lovely time to kind of relax
Yeah.
and drink in what's going on all around.
Mm.
Right. So, Rachel, if I get on at Ravenglass, what can I expect to find at the other end at Dalegarth?
Yeah, so at Delgarth, oh, there's lots. I mean, we've got our own sort of like cafes, play area up there for the kids, and we've got a shop up there. But you've also got some great walks as well. Again, different kind of different abilities. Really, you've got a lovely walk to Stanley Gill Waterfall, so that's probably one of the longest. Takes about 40 minutes, but they've got the National Park have put a new viewing platform up there, so it's quite astounding as you can look down over the waterfalls. And then along the river down there as well, we have some shorter walks, which are like Anne's Walk. We have obviously the old Girder Bridge as well, which you can do stepping stones, which is quite fun. So you obviously can use stepping stones to cross the river. That just brings you out by Little St Catherine's Church, or you can just literally walk into the village itself, where you've got Eskdale Mill, so England's oldest oldest working cornmill, with a little sort of like museum, and then there's some pubs there as well, and yeah, a little sort of like a post office shop. So there was lots to do. Whether you want to do walking, or whether you just want to have a picnic, or obviously just go to the pub.
So something for everyone, really.
Yes.
Now, many children just adore Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends, who've all got different names. But your engines have names too, don't they? So tell us what they're called.
Yes, they do. They all have different names, and everyone has their favourites, and all their drivers have their favourites as well. And the trains have their own drivers. So yeah, so we've I'll start with one of the oldest. So she is a green. We have Northern Rock. She is what we call she's green, but they call her muscat green. We have River Mite. She's red. Willenbeck blue, and River Esk, who is black. And then we have some diesel engines as well. So we have Lady Sheila of Eskdale, Les, and Lady Wakefield is the other one as well.
Do you know which tends to be the most popular? Because I would bank on the red one, maybe being the most.
Yeah, it depends really. And we do have a lot of enthusiasm for the diesels, but steam engines obviously are. But I think then it then comes down to obviously what is running on the day, sort of thing. I think as long as the steam engines are out and about, obviously people really enjoy sort of like seeing them, and then seeing obviously lots of different sort of like steam engines as well. So it's having that mix really. I would say that obviously drivers, staff, enthusiasts will have their favourites, but individuals, yeah, I suspect they do, but who we don't know.
And do you think the magic of steam is ever lost? Because I suspect you've got people of all ages who love the nostalgia of travelling by steam.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think nostalgia of steam, obviously has always been with us and everything. I think what we've got to find a way, I suppose, going forward is a way to make this experience sustainable. Really, that's kind of, but the whole nostalgic element is that kind of smell and the look of steam engines coming in and out.
Very much like the railway children, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you ever offer a chance for people to become an engine driver?
Well, we have sort of like we obviously have a lot of volunteers. So we have a preservation society as well that own two of the engines, and we have a lot of volunteer base, obviously from our guards and everything. And some of those volunteers have come up through, and they've obviously gone on to become engine drivers. We did obviously offer. We were hoping to bring them back, obviously in the future, the footplate experiences, which obviously give people a chance to experience the being at the front of a train. But not actually obviously driving the engine necessarily. So I mean there is opportunities. We do have a lot of our young steam engines at the moment have started off as guards. So
yeah, I mean being on the footplate must be fantastic.
well, I must admit I had a chance actually to go on a double header for the first time. We had a gala here beginning of May, and we had a kind of lots of engines out and about double heading, which is when we had two engines pulling a train. And I had my first chance to go on a double header with River Esk and River Mite, and it was very, very special.
Oh yes, I'm sure that is. That must be fantastic. Anyway, so you've got your schedules that you run all year round. People can hop on board and do whatever on those. But do you also offer special events? And if so, what's coming up for the summer?
Yeah, we do. So, like I said, we just had our gala, so we're planning that again, obviously, for next year. So we got some celebration jubilee coming up. We're all doing obviously various bits. So our cafes are doing red, white, and blue cupcakes. Our gardeners have been out doing all the hanging baskets with the flowers. We've got new flags and bunting arriving, and then all the engines have got their own sort of like bespoke little header boards, all jubilee themed. And we're running a competition as well, which will be obviously launching this week on our social media, which gives you a chance to win a day out for four. In our new Ruth Lakeland experience, which is our director's saloon, with a hamper, and we've thrown in some of our special bespoke Jubilee limited edition mugs as well, squirrel mugs, with little mini sort of like squirrel plushes as well, along with all the Lakeland treats in your hamper.
And I know you've also got ghost trains for Halloween. So what happens then?
Yes, we do. So normally we had to change. I think last year we had to change something slightly. So what we're doing, hoping this year, we're going to look at revisiting the format again. So we normally have lots of spooks up the line, and obviously the stations are decorated, and then people on the ghost train prepared to be scared, because that's what we intend to do with all our passengers that dare to book a ghost train.
And I think you have activities back at Dale Garth as well, don't you, normally? And
We do, yeah, we do. So it just, I think, and the museum as well. The museum's now playing quite an active role in some of our activities, just giving a little bit more extra to that day out. Really, at the moment, again with Jubilee, they've got sort of like make your own Queen's bunting, and it's quite nice actually. I'm sitting in front of a pile that the kids have done at the weekend, and we're going to string it all up and hang it all round. So it's really, really nice and engaging for our younger visitors. That's for sure.
and I guess it's something that you do that under normal circumstances is truly magical. Is your Santa's Express
Yes.
when we haven't got COVID on the scene. That kind of like has children in raptures, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I have to say, they introduced like a COVID version of the Santa, which went really, really sort of like well. So we're actually adopting that format, but we're just adding a few little bits of extra magic really to it. So, but it is really, and every year obviously we have a budget and we go out and get decorations. So, having seen last year's set of decorations, goodness knows what we're going to be able to do with this year's on top of that. So soon, you won't be able to move fairy lights. It's really magical.
Now, I think you've also had something special happening with some of your carriages, haven't you?
Yes, we have. So we've had a couple of sort of like events where we launched our 3 premier carriages that we've had built. That's been a partnership, funded project with Festiniog, Welsh Highland Railway. So that was launching those 3. So we've got Joan in service at the moment. We've got our first class. We're just waiting for Ruth to be signed off. And then we've had as well the official launch of the camping coaches, the Pullman camping coaches. So these are our self-catering carriages that sit alongside the line at Ravenglass station. So they're known as Elmira and Major Kent. Which was obviously their Pullman names. And they've just been literally reopened after a £350,000 restoration project, which was obviously part funded by the Heritage Lottery Fund. So, it was nice to obviously officially open these now, and hopefully they'll provide years of holidays by the rails, which is what they're intended for, for families and couples who just love a bit of a quirky staycation.
I think they saw action during the war, didn't they, these carriages? Were they not World War One?
They were, yes. You're testing my history now. So they were originally ambulance cars, yes. So they were originally built as Pullman dining first class cars, but then they were converted to ambulance cars because obviously of the war. So they have seen service in the war, bringing troops back from the front. They were also, I think we had the first Australian nurse as well on board. So she's obviously quite a big part of the history as well. When obviously they came back from duty, they were then converted back, but they weren't given the obviously pulled back to the Pullman dining cars. They were then obviously first class and eventually relegated to third class, which is when they changed their carriage names, because obviously they lose their carriage names. So they lost Elmira and Maida Kent and became known as Carriage 135 and Carriage 137.
So we stay in those, and there's sort of history sort of coming through the walls, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think I'm also right in saying that you can also stay in a holiday cottage on the platform. Is that correct?
Yes, we're just Hilton Cottage is on the platform, so that's actually predominantly for volunteer accommodation at the moment. But we are looking to revamp that, so that's part of our sort of like, I suppose, ambitions really to look at doing a revamp of Hilton Cottage with the platform, but also looking at installing like a changing places, accessible toilets as well on that platform as part of that conversion.
Finally, it's probably worth mentioning that this is the 1900th birthday of Hadrian's Wall, and that visitors to the railway can see Roman history down at Ravenglass, can't they? It's only a short hop from the railway station.
Yeah, so it's fun. It's intriguing, really, because obviously the Ravenglass is seen as like the strategic kind of endpoint, really, of Hadrian's Wall, or beginning point, because obviously Ravenglass itself was once a very, very important harbour. So in Roman times, it would have been a very sort of like a key point, really. So you got Hard Knot, which is one of the largest sort of like open forts, which are up on the again in Eskdale, just north of Delgarth Boot station. And then you've got obviously Walls Castle, which is really the Ravenglass bathhouse, which is down at the Ravenglass end as well. And that's about probably a 5-10 minute walk from the station. But there is lots of sort of like, various interpretation that's about. And we've got sort of like a sort of like an old I suppose you could say, signage point as well between here and Rome, in the car park as well. So yes, so it's quite a important a link to Roman history.
There's lots to do at both ends of the line. No excuse for people not to come and see you then, because there's lots going on. So if people want to do that, how do they get tickets? What's the best thing to do? Do they need to book, or do they just turn up?
Yeah, well, we totally advise people, if they can, to book in advance, because again, with your seats and the times and everything, we've got set times, set carriages, so you can pre-book obviously the carriage that you want, whether it be open, closed, the semi-opens, or first class, etc. Yeah, we fully advise that, but obviously there are tickets available on the day, if we can. So if you do turn up on a day, we can put you on the next available train. But yeah, we would strongly recommend that you book your tickets in advance. And again, we'll be looking at revamping that system to make it a lot easier for people to book like that, or give us a call.
So hopefully the weather will be kind this summer and you'll have a very good season.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Rachel. And hope, like I say, that the season's really kind to you, and that the railway goes from strength to strength.
Thank you.
So there we go. Let your kids go along and decide if it's River Ert or Northern Rock that they really, really love. Get spooked on a ghostly train journey, or just travel back in time and enjoy the nostalgia of steam. The Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway really does have it all. I'll join you wherever you are next time, but for now, stay safe and remember that life's better when you're poodling around.